Hey everybody, I know we're going into our second year of the pandemic, but med school interviews don't stop. And as a person who went through the process last year, I wanted to make a video to help people who are interviewing this cycle to see if I can give some tips and tricks to help you out with the virtual interview. So let's get started. So for the most part, I'm going to do a general overview of things that helped during the virtual interview and also tips and tricks that helped me out as I was going through the process. My first tip is going to be the obvious one, which is practice. You need to practice, especially if this is a new process for you. Ideally, you can practice an interview with a mentor, a physician, another medical student. But if you don't have access to a physician or a med student or a faculty mentor of some sort, you can always practice with your siblings, your friends, your parents. And if you're feeling a little shy and you're not ready to have that face-to-face interview with a person yet, you can record yourself. I really encourage taking your phone or your camera and just recording yourself speaking. And what happens is you catch a lot of tics that you're not aware that you're doing. Like looking off to the side, scratching or fumbling with your hands. I'm doing that right now, as you can see, but we're not interviewing right now, so it's okay. Now, number one, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. You have to get some practice in, and there's a lot of ways to do it, but make sure you do it so that when you're in the actual interview, you're ready for whatever is going to happen. Now, something that really helped me was to have a checklist. I had this little post-it note. Whenever I had an interview, I would go through that post-it note and make sure I had everything checked off. I made sure I had my suit jacket, my pants, my dress shirt, my tie. I even wore a belt to my interviews. I even wrote hair gel because you want to look good. I made sure to have snacks ready, so I made sure to check off snacks on my little checklist before every interview. Just have a list of things that you can be certain is going to be available for you. For example, laptop, charger. I had a lengthy checklist. It was like 20 items, but it was just everything that you need to feel comfortable during an interview, especially if you're lucky enough that you've earned more than one interview. It's good to have that consistency, have that routine. So have a checklist, have that routine, make sure that everything is ready for you to do your best. Speaking of the checklist, we're moving on to the routine. Have a routine. Wake up, preferably the same time. Not every place is going to interview at the same time, but every time I had an interview, I made sure I had orange juice, I had a watermelon, and I had a pastry. And I got the watermelon to feel healthy, orange juice to feel healthy, and pastry just to get me through that interview. And it was nice having the same thing every time, so I knew what to expect. So every morning I would wake up just a little bit early, make sure I have orange juice ready, make sure I have some watermelon slices, and make sure I had like a donut or a croissant or something. It doesn't have to be those three things. It can be whatever works for you. Some people love coffee. I'm personally, I'll drink coffee if I need it, but that's not me. Just have whatever makes you feel comfortable. Again, because we have to have you working your best. Have a consistent interview-ready environment. Make sure your family or whoever you're staying with understands that you have an interview that day, and this could be one of the most important interviews of your life. I made sure that my family knew that I was interviewing, and made sure that my desk at the time, this isn't where I interviewed, but made sure my environment was ready for that day. A lot of people say have a neutral background. If you've got a lot going on in the back, it might be a little bit distracting. As you can see, I don't have a lot going on right now. Back when I was interviewing, actually, I had a few paintings of mine hanging in the background, and it would be fun if they came up in a conversation. You could talk about it. So if you have something like that, maybe you can have it in your background if it's something you're ready to talk about, but just don't have clothes strewn about. Don't have like an unkept bed. Just make sure you have like a neutral background. Make sure the focus is on you and not what's going on behind you. Now, another thing about an interview-ready environment is you should have your camera at eye level, and I guess most people, we have our desk set up so that our laptops are down here, so the camera is kind of going down and it's looking up on you, and it's got like a weird angle. And you know, I got this actually just came in the mail today, so not everyone's gonna have this laptop stand. So actually what I did was I had a bunch of books. I took a stack of books, very simple, just set it right here, and then yeah, it's a little bit higher. Your camera is more level with wherever you are. Now that the camera is more level, your eye level, it's like you're talking to the interviewer more face to face than you would be. You know, you want to be as professional as you can be. You don't have like weird angles distorting your face. This just gives, you know, the best view of yourself. Now, I know everyone gets super nervous. I was super nervous for my interviews, and that might cause people to want to take notes and have notes ready for them to look at. But in reality, you're not going to have time to sift through your notes. And if your interviewer is really good and they're paying attention, they're going to be able to tell if you're looking off to the side and reading off a sheet of paper, or reading off the corner if you have another tab open or a window open and you have your notes next to the Zoom call. It gets pretty obvious. I think the thing really ties back to the first point. You just have to practice everything you're going to say. Be genuine, be honest with your answers. And you know, you're not going to need notes because you're talking about yourself for the most part. And if you're doing an MMI, you know, your notes aren't really going to help you there either, because they come up with different situations every time. So, you know, be genuine, be yourself. You don't have to have notes, but, you know, prepare for that interview. You know, there's so many things that you want to share with people, and if it's your first time telling people your story or your personal story, the reason you want to go into medicine, maybe you might stumble, maybe you might stutter, but it's your story. You've crafted it your entire life. Just be ready to share it. You don't have to write it down. It's all in here, and hopefully it comes from here too. Next is to have on a nice outfit. And when I'm saying a nice outfit, it means a professional interview attire. You know, if you're a guy, maybe that's a suit, shirt, tie. If you're a nice lady, that would be a dress or a blouse with a skirt, or a pantsuit or a dress suit. My advice is to wear the full suit. I know you're doing a virtual interview and probably that's gonna be from the waist up, but I even wear the full suit. You know, that meant for me wearing my matching dress pants, because that made me feel more comfortable. It made me feel like I was taking on that persona of the interviewee. Now, the classic look for a lot of people I've seen is black suit, white shirt, black tie. I personally like to add a little bit of color to it, maybe a blue suit with a wider light blue shirt and a dark colored tie. Of course, you could add a touch of color in many different ways, and it's perfectly fine to just have that all black suit, but I think adding a little touch of color gives you a little bit more personality. Well, I hope that was helpful for everybody. I wish everyone good luck with this cycle. I know it's been a hard year and a half, especially for pre-meds looking for research and volunteering opportunities, and virtual interviews aren't helping. At the end of the day, you know, you're gonna get to your goals. A whole cohort of us, even 2 cohorts actually. At the start of the pandemic, people were switching from live to virtual interviews at the last second. And throughout my entire applying process, it was entirely virtual interviews. I know this year's got quite a few more virtual interviews, and hopefully that's gonna change. But for right now, I hope the tips that I gave you guys today will help you get through this and further you onto your dreams. Thank you all for watching, and signing off, this is an overly dressed Tony Chang, MS1.